Have you ever observed how certain individuals can alter an entire room's energy without uttering a single word? They don't raise their voice, don't argue. They simply step back, and suddenly the air feels different. Tension rises, people grow uneasy, and questions emerge, not from what was said, but from what was left unspoken. The quiet withdrawal itself speaks volumes. It's as if their very absence demands attention, shaking the foundations of everything else in the room. The silence becomes a language more powerful than words ever could be. This kind of presence is rare, almost mystical, and yet entirely within your reach. Now, consider what would happen if you did the same. What if you chose silence over reaction, distance over explanation? What changes when you're no longer emotionally, physically, or mentally accessible? Would the world pursue, resist, or finally expose what it always kept hidden? Would those who depended on your constant availability be forced to confront the truth of who you really are, behind all the noise and performance? Today, we're not merely discussing withdrawal. We're exploring the recovery of a quiet power long forgotten. A power that lives in stillness, in refusal, in the sacred space where boundaries are honored and energy is protected. Everything shifts the moment you step back. When you stop reacting impulsively, when you stop offering your emotions freely, a transformation begins. The people around you become uncomfortable, some agitated, others attempting to provoke you, and a few, without realizing it, fear the unpredictable version of you. Because the world thrives on managing your responses, your anger, your justifications, your explanations. It feeds on the energy you supply to the drama, the arguments, the chaos. But when you pull away, when you stop feeding the fire, everything cools and the illusion that you are theirs to control shatters. They realize that you are not a puppet, that you hold the strings in your own hands. But once you embrace silence, once stillness becomes your choice over reaction, the illusion shatters. Those who claim to know you realize they only understood your responses, not your essence. Carl Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to a better understanding of ourselves." Pay attention. Who do you become when the noise fades? Who do you show up as when you stop performing the role that others expect? The silence reveals parts of yourself you may have forgotten or refused to see, but it also exposes who those around you truly are in your absence. Some become desperate, others angry, some indifferent, but all of them are changed by the vacuum your silence creates. Notice who becomes desperate when you stop answering, who blames you for changing because you no longer engage in their emotional games. Their discomfort reflects not you, but their loss of control. And that's where your true freedom lies. When you stop giving people the power to provoke your reactions, when you hold back the answers they demand, you reclaim the authority over your own inner world. Their frustration is not your burden. It is the echo of their own insecurity, their inability to cope with your independence. This discomfort is proof that you are no longer a hostage to their expectations and emotional manipulations. Each time you say yes, while your inner voice whispers no. Each time you rush to fix, please, or explain, you surrender a piece of your life force, bit by bit, until exhaustion replaces clarity. What's left then? A quiet fatigue, a foggy emptiness that sleep can't heal. And you ask why? Why do you feel so disconnected, so drained? It's not weakness. It's the slow, quiet erosion of energy given to those who never truly appreciated it. Not out of cruelty, but out of habit. A habit you helped nurture. You gave your time to everyone but yourself. You became a well that others drew from endlessly, forgetting to refill your own depths. Over time, the well runs dry. Jung called this process individuation, the sacred journey to becoming whole, authentic, and integrated. But you can't take that journey if you're always being pulled away by every demand. Choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's sanity. It is the radical act of preserving your own essence in a world that demands constant sacrifice. It is the refusal to drown in other people's needs at the cost of your own identity. It starts with a simple but profound choice: to breathe, to pause, to protect your inner silence as fiercely as you would protect your life. It begins in the tiniest of moments, the moment you breathe, pause, and protect your inner silence. When you're constantly available, you give more than your presence. You give your soul, and most won't even realize they're taking it. The more predictable you become, the more invisible you feel. people stop seeing you. They only see your utility, your validation, your comfort, your distractions from their own voids. You morph from a person to a resource. And tragically, you wrote that script out of fear, loneliness, the desire to belong. The mask you wear to gain acceptance becomes your prison. Jung referred to this as the persona, the mask we wear to gain acceptance. We offer a polished image while our true self suffocates behind it. You say, "I'm fine." When you're breaking, you smile through your sadness. You reply instantly, fearing rejection if you delay. But with every act of self-betrayal for external validation, you drift further from who you are. The more you hide, the more you lose touch with your core. The deeper you sink into the role, the more you forget the script is yours to rewrite. Being always available isn't kindness, it's self-abandonment dressed as politeness. And those who continually take from you, they aren't trying to destroy you. They're simply responding to the image you allowed them to believe. But you are not infinite. You're not a bottomless reservoir. You're a sacred being with finite energy. And once you honor that truth, everything changes. The moment you recognize your limits, the moment you refuse to give what you do not have, your whole world transforms. Energy becomes precious, boundaries become holy, protection becomes an act of love. Jung didn't view the mind as mechanical, but as an energy field. Every thought, emotion, and conflict you focus on consumes that energy. So ask yourself, are you directing your energy or bleeding it away? Every reaction to criticism, each effort to justify, every chase for validation, it drains your life force. And you wonder why you feel powerless. It's not weakness, it's misplaced effort. The way you expend your energy determines your experience of power or powerlessness. Jung was right. What you resist persists. The more you engage, the deeper the entanglement. The more you fight, the more you're tied to the struggle. Your psychic energy is sacred. Protecting it isn't selfish, it's essential. Mastering your energy doesn't mean fighting harder. It means fighting smarter or not at all. Often, the most powerful response is none at all. Silence in the face of provocation is the strength that confounds manipulators. It's the pause that breaks cycles. Manipulation is rarely loud. It's subtle. It seduces you into reacting. And the moment you do, you're trapped, no longer sovereign. Some people don't need to scream. They only need to trigger your emotional buttons. Guilt, fear, the desire to appear kind. Jung called this projection, the unconscious act of placing unresolved feelings onto others. But on the other side, you can also become a screen for other people's needs, projections, and voids, especially when you offer availability without boundaries. Think of the friend who only reaches out in chaos, the partner who only acknowledges you when they need rescue, the colleague who sees you only when you're useful. They aren't engaging with you. They're engaging with the role you unknowingly agreed to play. Why did you agree? Because the fear of rejection overpowered the pain of depletion. Because you thought your value depended on your availability. But remember, the manipulator doesn't need to win your mind, just your old pattern. When you react, they gain control. When you explain, you surrender. But when you withdraw, when silence becomes your answer, the entire illusion dissolves. Your unavailability isn't cruelty, it's clarity. It forces others to face their emptiness. In your silence, you reclaim a power few dare to touch. Silence isn't weakness, it's sovereignty, a refusal to be dragged into chaos. While the modern world glorifies noise and speed, true strength lies in stillness, not absence, but presence of a deeper kind. Jung knew this. He believed individuation demanded detaching from the crowd to return to the sacred dialogue within. And that dialogue only begins when you stop reacting and start observing. That's when truth reveals itself. Patterns you once called loyalty become traps. Manipulations you mistook for love dissolve. Silence unveils what noise concealed. Notice how some people panic when you no longer engage. It's not your absence they fear. It's losing control over the story they told themselves about you. Because if you keep talking, you're still part of their narrative. But silence reclaims your story. True silence demands they face themselves. And not everyone is ready for that. Real silence is powerful, unshakable, and it's just the beginning. Because silence without awareness still leaves room for energy to be stolen. You must guard your presence deliberately. Not every message needs a reply. Not every invitation deserves your presence. You're allowed to pause. You're allowed to leave unread messages. You're allowed to walk away. You owe no one instant access to your heart. No one deserves immediate explanations for your boundaries. True power doesn't justify itself. It moves with quiet confidence. And reclaiming your energy means practicing this sovereignty daily, breathing before reacting, choosing rest over response, walking away without guilt. Every no to what drains you becomes a yes to your true strength. This isn't cruelty, it's clarity, it's survival. Jung understood that wholeness only emerges when we abandon the need to please everyone. You're not here to be everything for everyone. You're here to be authentically, fiercely, unapologetically yourself. At first, becoming unavailable feels painful. Silence is heavy. Solitude stings. You wonder if you're cold, unkind. You replay the old you, the one who always said yes. You miss the noise, even though it hurt. Chaos felt like company. You notice who fades, who blames you, who calls you distant, and old guilt surfaces. The belief that love must be earned through availability, that to be loved, you must be endlessly giving. But hear this, that pain is not wrong. It's healing. You're shedding old illusions, roles, expectations, and false connections you once mistook for real. You're not losing people. You're losing the version of yourself that thought you had to be needed to matter. Jung taught that transformation requires retreat, a descent into sacred isolation. And yes, it hurts, but remain. Stay with the silence. Stay with the ache. Because beyond the emptiness is a life built on truth, not approval. You will lose. You will grieve. But what you'll gain is real. You, the real you, the one who guards their energy, who chooses peace, who stands firm without explanation. And yes, you will lose people who preferred your availability to your authenticity. But bless them silently. They were never meant to go where you're going. As you rise, the path narrows, but so does your clarity. And one day, you'll find companions, not those who take, but those who honor your wholeness. To meet them, you must walk alone first. You must bear rejection, misjudgment, and accusations of selfishness. You must choose your freedom over their comfort. So I ask you, are you ready to lose what was never truly yours, to reclaim what has always lived within you? If so, then you're not breaking down. You're breaking free. You're not becoming less. You're becoming real. And if this message resonates with you, write in the comments below, I choose my peace, because sometimes a single quiet decision can rewrite your entire life. This journey of choosing peace over performance, of choosing authenticity over approval, is not a single moment. It is a continuous unfolding, a sacred returning to the self. And in a world that constantly demands your energy, your attention, and your reaction, this return is an act of quiet rebellion. You begin to realize how much of your life was spent on autopilot, driven not by your own desires, but by the expectations of others. You begin to see the roles you played, the helper, the pleaser, the fixer, the rescuer, not because they were your truth, but because they were your survival. But now you are awakening. Now you are remembering. Now you are choosing to rewrite the script. And the rewriting does not require grand gestures. It happens in whispers, in the decision to put your phone down, in the sacred pause before you answer a message, in the breath you take before saying yes to something that doesn't feel right, in the courage to say no without explaining. It happens in silence. It happens in space. It happens in stillness. Stillness that makes room for your own voice to rise again. Because beneath all the noise, your truth has been waiting, patiently, quietly. It never left you. It was only buried beneath the layers of roles and personas and shoulds. And now, like a seed cracking open in the dark, it begins to grow. You start to see that your energy is your currency, that you spend it with every thought, every interaction, every word, and so you become more intentional. You begin to ask, does this conversation nourish me? Does this presence inspire me? Does this connection honor me? If the answer is no, you release it, gently, without guilt. You learn that walking away is not weakness, it is wisdom, that boundaries are not walls, they are bridges back to your center, and that being unavailable is not rejection, it is redirection toward the self you had long forgotten to choose. There is power in no longer explaining yourself. There is clarity in choosing silence. There is liberation in letting go of the need to be understood by those who never truly saw you. Because not everyone is meant to walk with you. Not everyone deserves access to your light. And that is okay. You are not here to convince, you are here to be. And as you honor this being, this presence that no longer performs, no longer pleads, no longer exhausts itself trying to earn love, you begin to notice a shift. Life becomes lighter, quieter, more aligned. You start attracting those who speak your language of peace, who respect your space, who don't need you to shrink to feel secure, who celebrate your truth, not resent it. This is the reward of choosing yourself, of choosing stillness, of choosing the invisible transformation that happens in the spaces others overlook. And as you continue on this path, know this: you will be misunderstood, you will be labeled, you will be called cold, distant, detached. But these are only projections from those who depended on your chaos to avoid their own. Let them go, bless them, and walk on, because every step you take in silence is a step back to your soul. Every moment you choose peace over performance is a moment reclaimed. Every time you refuse to betray yourself is a declaration: I'm no longer available for anything that costs me my peace. You are not cold, you are conscious, you are not detached, you are discerning, you are not unkind, you are unapologetically whole. And in this wholeness, there is nothing to fix, nothing to prove, nothing to chase. Only presence, only truth, only the steady pulse of your own becoming. So keep choosing you in the silence, in the stillness, in the sacred solitude where your soul speaks the loudest. Because that voice, that quiet, unwavering, grounded voice within you, that is who you truly are, and that is where your peace was always waiting.